Welcome back to the Grand Solar Minimum channel. Today is April 16th, 2018. Happy Monday. Uh-oh. I knew this was going to happen. The minute I leave my producer, she left me. Okay, here we go. Sorry about that, guys. All right, so got a lot to talk about. First of all, I do apologize for the late start. As you know, Buffalo has seen its share of moisture, snow, ice, back to rain, and then back to snow. So we've been dealing with the elements up here, and of course we have flooding. So, but let's get right into the program. Take a look at our solar wind speeds. Right now we're sitting at a well, stand by, folks. Let's do this. Right now we are sitting at a solar wind speed of 276.1 kilometers per second, and a density right now is going to be 3.1. Now, a couple things I wanted to look at today on the sunspots. We have SDO. Nobody is reporting a sunspot. However, there are a couple of other imageries that we use here on the Grand Solar Minimum that display the sunspots as raw without the numbers and everything. And actually, this one we have does circle it as well. And I'm going to actually bring that up as soon as I get here. And I'll get right to you guys. All right. So here we go. So anyway, take a look at the sunspots. We are now at our first day without sunspots. Take a look at our KP indices are sitting at a 1 right now. And the SDO is displaying a new coronal hole that we talked about last week. We will see the solar wind speeds from that on April 19th through the 20th. Yesterday we observed a spike in solar wind speeds that that jumped up briefly, but they went back down as well, and that was not from a coronal hole. It was possible a CIR. But as we look at the sun right now, we have a few active areas, and the one particular area that I was talking about when we came on the air was let me get my cursor out here. It's not there. Never mind. So right here, right over the center was 2704, and then if you see right up to the right of that, to the 1 o'clock position, there's a little bit of activity there, a little bit of a solar eruption. I did see where some forecasters have circled that active region as well. That could turn into AR 2705. And then, of course, we have the two active regions back towards the eastern limb. So lots of action going on here. We'll get through it as best as we can, though. All right, take a look at our headlines for today. And boy, what a doozy we had. The ice storm in Toronto. But the first thing I want to cover is actually over back at grandsolarminimum.com. And sorry folks, we kind of got in a little late and I don't have the things up that I wanted to show everybody. Here, we'll take a look at the solar proton flux. It's been all quiet, and this was the other imagery that I was talking about earlier as well. As you see right here, we have several different regions that are being highlighted right now. And this is what I was talking about. So 2705 is just a gleam, really, and 2704 is the last part of the active region. And also, so just a flurry of activity that we're seeing here very early on. Let me go ahead and go to the main page, however. I apologize for the delay, folks. I'll tell you what, while we're waiting for that one to pull up, I will go ahead and just start taking a look at some of these headlines. First of all, let's take a look at, this is from Hawaii, I believe. Now, I did a little write-up on this article earlier today, they broke a 1, 2, and 3 day record. They received over 27 inches of rain in 24 hours. They broke the 24-hour rain total, I believe, was 12.52 inches, and then the 48-hour rain total as well was 24 inches, a little over 24 inches. So the 2-day total in 24 hours, they broke no problem by 12.5 inches of rain. Actually, it was a little bit more than that, around 13.5 inches of rain. They shattered the record. It says right here, parts of the island saw more than 2 feet of rain, shattering previous records. Rain gauge measured 28.15 inches of rain over 24-hour period. So this report showing a little bit more. Watchers was saying 27. So a little bit better updated, and it looks like they got a little bit more rain as well. Let's take a look at some of these images, folks. Wow. Now this is one of 2 buildings that was taken off its foundation. This looks like a remote area, and officials do believe that the people that were in these properties were not home at the time of this. But just absolute mind-blowing photos here, especially from Hawaii. We were looking at the weather just a couple of days ago out there and noticed that we were going to see some shower activity kind of prolong for a little bit, but I had no idea it was going to be to this level. Just absolute devastation here, folks. You see trees uprooted, roads washed away, cars flipped upside down. So this is just one of very, very many. This one's talking about the Northeast, Midwest. This one's kind of the whole kit and caboodle. I'll go over this one just in a second. We'll take a look. Here's another floods headline on April 15th, which was Sunday. This is up in Toledo. It was an unusually busy Sunday for Glenn Pafford, who was already getting calls concerned about customers with soggy carpets after the weekend's heavy rains and flooding. You know, he saw a lot of business this week, and I'm sure as a lot of folks up here in the Northeast, or I'm sorry, Northwestern New York as well, seeing flooding. Wind-blown water and waves flooded low-lying streets near Lake Erie on Sunday, with a lakeshore flood warning still in effect for Monroe County, but dropped for Ohio counties to the south and east. Several homes were evacuated in Monroe County. While periodic heavy rain throughout the region is forecast for some river flooding as well, on Sunday, the main issue was Lake Erie, which as of 2 p.m. was more than 3 feet above its recent pool level at Toledo, and 10 inches lower in Michigan. Now, we saw this a couple weeks ago when we had the waves crashing in up here at Lake Erie, and the lake in Toledo was down about, I think it was 3 or 4 feet, and it was up about 7 feet up here in Buffalo. So here in Michigan it's down, and in Toledo it's higher. So they're having a repeat of what we had just a few weeks ago, when concerns of the high winds and the rising levels at Lake Erie. More flooding and power outages and school closing. Again, this is a common headline throughout the country right here. Interstate 75 at 8 Mile is flooded due to a pump outage. Heavy winds and rain continue. There are still massive power outages due to the storm from this weekend. This is out of Detroit, by the way. Here's a list of some of their schools that are closed for tomorrow. And this is just as of, I think this was from 4 o'clock earlier today. So Detroit finally got some nasty weather. That we believe there was a force field. I think Kate has positive energy that keeps bad storms away. So she must have been dozing off or something when this storm came, because normally she misses all of it. But this here, they got ice, they got rain. Just nasty, raw weather right now that we're having. This is more like March, late March or early March, really. But the temperatures, when it rains, it's snowing outside, you've got the wind in your face. This is talking about 12 acres of crops were destroyed basically from this storm that we were just talking about here a minute ago. I wanted to show this as well. Not only did we have plenty of property damage, but also this farm is trying to reach 100 grand just to restore the farm from this storm. So the cleanup and the fundraisers have begun. Moving right along, Kenya counts losses of floods, claims lives destroy critical infrastructure. This is going to be, again, it's happening in every part of the world that we can think of right now. So Kenya is grappling with the aftermath of flash floods that intensified last week and have claimed dozens of lives while destroying critical infrastructure like roads and power lines. The torrential rains that started in the middle of March are to blame for the unprecedented flooding, accompanied by a displacement of thousands of people in low-lying parts of the country. Statistics from the state agencies and Kenya Red Cross indicate that more than 20 people have died as a result of the flash floods, while property worth millions of dollars has been destroyed. The meteorological department has predicted that heavy downpours will peak later in April and subside in early May. I'm not sure how much more of this that some of these people can take. And Mari and I have reported a ton on Africa between the cracks and tornadoes and flash floods. You name it. They've had it all. All right, so here we go. Records, Sioux Falls, South Dakota, South Dakota, Sioux Falls on April 14th. The new record is 12.5 inches. They beat the old record, folks, by 10 inches. Back in 1983, the single-day record is 12.5 record. That's also a new record. That was set in 1994, 10.5 inches. And the monthly record, they also broke that. They have 23.7 inches of snow in April, and the old record was 18.4, set back in 1983. So some huge numbers being broke in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. They definitely were one of the worst areas that got it. Just incredible that we're seeing 13 inches of snow. There was as many. I saw some areas in Wisconsin and Sioux City near South Dakota. Folks out there received 20, 21, up to 2 feet of snow in certain areas. So this storm was one of the, if you ever heard the term coming in like a lamb and going out like a lion, well, the only problem with that is that the winter came in like a lion. And right now with this storm, and in my opinion, when we look at the weather here in a little bit, this storm will show that winter is going out like a lion as well. And there's still more snow. According to National Weather Service, the outlook for elevated snow risk included all the counties in Chicago area as well as north central Illinois and northwest Indiana. Snow is likely across much of the outlook area today and this evening. This article is from earlier today. Highest snow amounts were expected Monday morning, mainly north of Interstate 90, but more snow could fall Monday night, according to the Weather Service. Weather temperatures in the mid to upper 20s, accumulation of 1 to 2 inches have been reported in some spots with slick, snow-covered roads in some areas, according to the Weather Service. This is a report out of Chicago. As of 7 a.m., just half of an inch, if that, had fallen at O'Hare International. Rockford also had about 0.6 of an inch. So April 16th, and still no signs of spring, read a posting on the Lake County Sheriff's Office Facebook page Monday morning. I'm sure that there are plenty of sheriff departments sharing that same exact message. How much snow did Wisconsin get, and is there still more on the way? As of today, we're getting new details on the records of snowfall set over the weekend here, guys. You think this guy had enough snow? Look at that. April, folks, April. Here's some of the records here. 23.7 in Ashawaubenon. I butchered that. Green Bay, 24.2 inches. Appleton, 21.2. Oshkosh, 11.4. Wazoo, 20.5. New London, 28.3 inches of snow. I think that's, nope. Amherst, 33 inches of snow. Amherst, Wisconsin, and Tiggerton, 30 inches or more. Sister Bay, 20 inches. Scandinavia, 28 inches. Amazing snowfalls, folks, for April 14th, April 15th. Records are being smashed from 52 and 87. The previous precipitation records in some areas were as low as 1.53 inches for the day. So 10 inches was the new record, 11 inches in some spots, and as much as 13 inches. So those, again, snow records being smashed all over the country from this storm that started technically Thursday night and has taken its sweet time to make its way through the country. And we're Monday night into Tuesday, and we're still talking about it. I think this might be a repeat here. 2 more storms are brewing. Prepare to sweep across the plains, according to a meteorologist here at the National Weather Service. That means more snow and rain are likely in parts of Nebraska and Iowa this week. The first round is forecasted for Tuesday into Wednesday, and the second is for Friday night into Saturday night. Now, they're talking about some snow, some thunderstorms. That's some stuff I'll get into here in a minute. The past weekend, storm delivered 2 to 3 inches of snow in Omaha metro area, seen up to 14 inches in parts of Nebraska and Iowa before it pushed north into South Dakota and Minnesota, and that's where they got walloped. We have, along with some of the snow records, Omaha set a record for daytime cold with temperatures peaking at 33 degrees, which is well below the previous record of, listen to this, 37 degrees, folks. I'm sorry, this is awful. 37 degrees set back in 1872. That's quite a record. And they beat that record by 4 degrees Fahrenheit. I'm a mess without my producer. Green Bay, more of the same. They had blizzard-like conditions. Here's some photos of people shoveling out, trying to clean up. Trying to see if we have any major records that were broken as well. I'm sure we did. If we're looking at records being broke as far back as 1872 in Nebraska. Unreal. So nearly 2 feet of heavy snow fell in parts of northeastern Wisconsin since Saturday. And now that snow is now blowing and drifting. Des Moines broke records, of course. More records being broken, folks. April. Temperatures across the metro Sunday were almost half the 60-degree average for April. So here we are, 30 degrees below average. Waterloo residents experienced their coldest high in more than 100 years with their 28-degree day breaking a record of 36 degrees back in 1904. Okay? Again, over 100 years old. And these records are being smashed. And that's the crazy part, guys, is that this is only the beginning. I've heard people talk about that we're not dealing with the grand solar minimum. I've heard plenty of scientists out there trying to say that we're not going into the grand minimum. And, you know, really, when I hear that, the first thing that pops into my mind is over here on Space Weather, where I'm looking at the sunspot totals. And we see how we came out of the minimum last time. 2008 had 239 days spotless. Before that, in 2007, we were at 172 days. I think we went as low as 17 in 04, and I believe 1 day in 05. So, you know, what I'm trying to say is that our totals had reached, it took some time to get to that 260 days without sunspots. And here we are in 2018. We're not even in the beginning. Technically, we're not even in solar cycle 25. And we've already seen, what, 200 days without sunspots since 2016. And we're not officially into the grand solar minimum. So it starts at solar cycle 25. I just don't see where these people, I don't even think they're even bothering looking at real information to make that kind of a claim that we're not in a grand solar minimum, where sunspot data is key and vital to tracking these minimums. The proof is in the pudding, guys. anyway, that's enough of my rant. Let's go check out some weather. Make sure I got everybody in the picture here before I get started. There we go. Well, got to get my southern folks in here too. Make sure. All right, don't want to discriminate. So here we go, guys. Taking a look at the map right now currently. And I went back to tropical tidbits because windy is more of a personal study time weather map. If you have plenty of time to wait for the map to load up, that's a great map to study, to look at, to learn. Tropical tidbits, however, nothing beats the quickness of these maps loading up for us. Even though sometimes it takes a while, it's a lot faster than what I've experienced with windy. So anyway, back to tropical tidbits. We are seeing that storm on the East Coast terrorizing New England right now with lots of heavy rain. And folks, I'm going to say some. We got near 2 inches of rain just from probably 9 p.m. last night until about 1 p.m. today. The heaviest fell overnight, and flood levels were a concern. Our backyard's a swamp. I know others are experiencing the same. But as we look in the northwest, they've got a healthy dose of precipitation as well. Rain and snow in that corner as well. Over here, rain and snow in the northeast corner. Western New York, we're seeing some moderate snow right now, and that's going to continue through the overnight hours. Now, this is going to wrap back around and go into Tuesday, still trying to fuel some snow. And that's going to be mainly lake effect going into Tuesday. And as we progress throughout the week, that northwest system starts to spread out to the northern plains, and a little bit of a disturbance with rain over Ohio Valley by the time we get to Thursday. Western New York will see a shot of cold air again, and by the time this system moves through, we'll be looking at snow at the end of it. Now, as that system makes exit, we do see a low pressure system that's setting up very nicely right now over most of eastern Texas and central and southern Texas, right down the middle of Texas. So this is welcome right here, folks. Very extreme drought in these areas of Texas. Colorado needs the moisture. New Mexico, Arizona, I wish I had better news for you. Utah, you're getting a little bit. But as we move on through Friday into Saturday, this starts to pick up and intensify. And this system kind of like takes a weird track. It does a diagonal track to the Gulf and then kind of hugs the coast as it progresses through the end of the week here. This is next weekend, by the way. So the South, we get some dry time for this week, and then we have to deal with our next round of severe weather, possibly. This does look like heavy rain to the south once again, as we just experienced a severe outbreak and heavy rains from the south, from Texas all the way off to the east coast through South Carolina, up the coast to North Carolina, Pennsylvania, into New York. This storm is not going to do the same thing. This one's going to exit out to the Atlantic Ocean, and that's going to be that. Or so we say. But as we move into the rest of the month for April, it does appear as we pick up towards May, we start to see a lot more active pattern of rain showers coming across the country, which some of this rain is going to be needed for these farmers, and some of these areas are not going to need the rain. But as we're looking into April 28th, I mean, this is just typical spring type weather here. Showers after showers after showers. So hopefully we get more dry days than what the GFS is indicating. But the good news is that there's some temporary relief here for people here in the Northeast, and that is after this coming Thursday, the 19th, we see that system move out, and the Northeast actually gets a little bit of break for a little while, starting on this weekend. Friday into Saturday, we should see some quiet weather, and this is going to be some crucial dry time for this part of the country, especially Pennsylvania and Virginia and West Virginia. Unfortunately, North Carolina and the South, you guys are going to get some more showers by early next week. But again, here in the Northeast, we don't get a chance of precipitation again until almost 7 days after the last chance. So that's good news for the folks up here in the Northeast. We've had enough of the snow, the rain, the flooding, the ice. I know we could use the break. I want to review real quick, and of course we are looking at some quiet weather now. I know Sun Valley this weekend we saw some hail out in California in spots that we don't see hail, so there's reports of that and some heavy downpours. You guys look like you're going back to sleep here, as everything that does form moisture wise is going to be off of the eastern part of California into the rest of the country. So we get a few days of quiet for most of the country. The South, you get fired back up, and once that happens, that kind of the rest of the country just kind of falls suit. So let's take a really quick look at temperatures real fast. and I'll let these play off. And normally I ask Mari right about this time of the broadcast, how's the chat going? But you know, my producer is in another room, so I'm gonna just pretend I said how's the chat doing, and she's gonna say it's going great, Jake. Okay, it's kind of lonely in here without my producer, so I'm just gonna leave it at that, guys. Taking a look at our temperature run, and things look like, well, spring. We're seeing less of the blue, we're seeing less of the freezing temperatures, and we're seeing more of that typical spring warm-up, and May looks very encouraging, folks. I've said this several times, but we get past this week, mainly tomorrow and Wednesday, we will be doing just fine as far as trying to get the springtime going.
Down the stairs. I'm coming.
No, it's too late.
It's not too late.
You've messed up the show now.
I've messed up the show. Hi, everyone. I gave out some new wrenches, Jake, because I obviously need help today.
Well, but anyway, thank you.
Hi.
Left my ass out in the wind and everything.
I absolutely miss sitting next to you for this.
Oh, boy.
Everyone in the chat is fabulous, and they say you want more snow.
Yeah.
So I was trying to convince him, no, that's not the case. He does not want more snow.
I'll tell you something right now. I've shoveled more snow this year than I have in my entire life. And I've lived in Ohio, so I still saw some snowy winters. Anyway, well, I'm glad you could make it.
I'm about ready to
wrapping it up
after today.
Yeah, I'm about done myself. Guys, really appreciate you tuning in. Thank you for being patient tonight. We apologize for the late start. We will be back at more of a normal time tomorrow. Let's shoot for 8:30 tomorrow just to be on the safe side. We'll talk soon, guys.